This is the Louie T Network.
Man, I love some football. Man, I love some football. My favorite week is week 1, cause I'm watching football. First comes the preseason, and I don't take a day off. And then it gets even better when your team makes the playoffs. 32 teams go hard for one thing. They work for one thing. That Super Bowl ring. 32 teams go hard for one thing. They work for one thing. That Super Bowl ring. We in the lab room.
Who else could it be but me, your man, Louie T, here on this program. Welcome. You are in the lab room, of course. I am your host, Louie T. Thank you for joining me. Week 1, National Football League. Baltimore Ravens hosting the Cincinnati Bengals. A huge AFC North matchup for a number of reasons. I really don't need to go into them. Baltimore starting off the season with 2 home games with the 2 best teams in this division that I believe. And if Baltimore wants to get back into discussion of division champ, then they need to not only beat Cincinnati, but beat Pittsburgh in back-to-back weeks to start the season off. If you're Cincinnati, what better way to start off the season by getting a win on the road in an environment that you haven't won in since 2009. So the stakes are high. It's a big matchup. Let's start by talking about Ray Rice. Did you see the footage of Raymond in the elevator? He's done. Ravens have released him. I don't want to spend a lot of time on that because we don't have a lot of time to waste. But just know that he's never, ever setting foot in the National Football League again. The one thing that you have to know is that we've seen Vic come back and have a redemption story. We've seen guys like Pac-Man, or excuse me, Adam Jones, get a second chance in this league, 3rd, 4th, 5th chances. It's one thing to do something to yourself, or even dogs. Everyone doesn't love dogs. Everyone has a female in their life that they care about. Whether it's a daughter, whether it's a mother, whether it's a sister, an aunt, a grandmother, whatever the case may be, a wife. Everyone can relate to having a female that they care about and someone that they would never, ever lay a finger on. And so to see something like that, Ray is finished. He's done. With that being said, let's jump into this game. We're going to go very quickly through this game. Not going to waste a lot of time. Not going to be a lot of extra added speech like it normally is. We're trying to get through these and get through them quickly. So let's jump into Ravens hosting Cincinnati. First possession of the game. The Bengals are able to get down the field via a Giovanni Bernard 3rd down screen. Gets them into field goal range for a 49-yard Mike Nugent field goal. That would be the theme of the day in this football game. Cincinnati settling for field goals. That's the first of 5 in this ball game. Yes, count them. 5 in this game. It's 3-0 Cincinnati. Adam Jones with a nifty punt return, and it was one of these ones where you thought, okay, he's lost, he's in no man's land. He almost looked like he wanted to reverse field. Then he takes off down the sideline, gets by the punter. Luckily enough, the backside pursuit was able to catch up with him, because if they didn't, he would have scored a touchdown. They were able to, and the Cincinnati Bengals settled for another field goal. It's 6-0 in this football game. And that's the end of the first quarter. We move on to the second quarter. A foolish penalty on the young rookie, C.J. Mosley. The offensive player is on the ground for the Cincinnati Bengals. He comes in, pounces on him, picks up a foolish penalty, helps them get another field goal, does that penalty. They were already in field goal range. That one made it a little closer. Maybe Mike Nugent would have gave you a gift had you made this a 47-yard field goal. Instead, that penalty pushes it up 15 yards. It's a chip shot. It's now 9-0 Cincinnati in this football game. After a solid drive, the first of which by this Ravens football team in this game, Justin Tucker is not able to connect from 55 yards out. And look, 90% of the kickers in this league wouldn't be able to connect from 55 yards out, but we're talking about just incredible Justin Tucker. We're not talking about any regular kicker, okay? We're talking about one of the elite kickers in this game. They expected him to knock that home. He didn't. It's still 9-0 in this game. And so after that missed field goal, that, of course, you kick a 55-yarder and you don't make it, it's excellent field position for the opposition. Now, the Cincinnati Bengals take that opportunity, move it down the field, get into field goal range yet again, and kick their fourth field goal of the game. It's now 12-0. If not for the Ravens defense standing up, this game would have been an utter disaster. It would have been a blowout. However, the Ravens stepped up defensively, kept this Ravens offense in the game, and this team, for that matter, in the game, and gave them an opportunity later on, as you will see. We move on. Bernard Pierce stripped up the football from Vontaze Burfict, and he not only makes the strip, but makes the recovery as well. He also was injured in this game, as well as Tyler Eifert. Eifert hurt his elbow on the second possession, or might have been the first possession of the game. Either way, it was a gruesome injury, probably dislocated his elbow. Most likely he's going to be out for an extended period of time. Vontaze Burfict hurt himself as well, but he got it done while he was in the game, forced a fumble, led to another field goal. And again, that fumble was forced and recovered at the 24-yard line of the Baltimore Ravens, and yet still the Cincinnati Bengals were not able to get into the end zone. It is now 15-0. You know the mantra, you know the motto, field goals don't win games, touchdowns do. And so you had to know that at some point they were going to pay for kicking all of these field goals. That takes us to the halftime break, and right before the halftime break, the Ravens finally get in a position where they can knock home a field goal, get some points on the scoreboard. There's 8 seconds left on the clock right before the half. No timeouts. Joe Flacco is a veteran quarterback in this league. He knows better. He cannot afford to waste those 8 seconds. It was simple. Either you take a shot at the end zone, you like what you see, you take a shot, or you chuck the football out of bounds and we kick a field goal. You cannot, under any circumstances, You cannot, under any circumstances, use up the whole entire clock. He did. They get nothing. That was a crucial mistake that the Baltimore Ravens would pay for dearly later on in this football game. You move on to the third quarter. Giovanni Bernard has a 32-yard catch and run out of the backfield. He is uncovered. I cannot fathom how the Baltimore Ravens do not have someone on this man coming out of the backfield. He is one of the most dangerous threats offensively for the Cincinnati Bengals, and so how he is not accounted for behooves me. However, he wasn't. He catches it, he runs down the sideline, sets up another opportunity for a field goal as Cincinnati still having issues getting in the end zone. However, this time, the sixth time, was the charm for the Ravens as they're able to block this field goal attempt, run it down the field, get into some great prime field position for scoring, except Joe Flacco turns it over, an interception thrown to Emmanuel Lemire, a linebacker that the Cincinnati Bengals are extremely high on out of TCU, picks him off and ends the threat. But the Cincinnati Bengals struggled in the second half to put up points, and the Ravens were able to stay in this game, so much so that they are able to finally mount a drive capped off by a 13-yard touchdown on the ground by Justin Forsett, who looked really good in extensive action in this game, and they're going to have to rely on him and Bernard Pierce moving forward, being that Ray Rice is no longer a part of this football team. And so now, all of a sudden, you go from being up 15-0 to only up 15-7. Now it's a one-score game, 2-point conversion, and we're talking about a tie ball game. So for all the good you've done, if you're Cincinnati, you've got to feel sick to your stomach knowing that you're only up a touchdown. And for the Baltimore Ravens, for as bad as you've played, the drop passes, the turnovers, you've got a fumble by Bernard Pierce, you've got an interception by Joe Flacco, you've got about 4 drop passes. To me, I counted 3, but there were 4 drop passes by Steve Smith, another drop by Torrey Smith, a huge monumental drop by Torrey Smith, or excuse me, Jacoby Jones, deep down the field on a beautifully thrown deep ball by Joe Flacco. All of these mistakes, and you're still in the football game. You got to be counting your blessings if you're the Baltimore Ravens. So that takes us to the fourth quarter. 15-7, Ravens trail in this game. Ravens get a field goal after a methodical drive to cut the lead to 15-10. Now you're thinking to yourself, if Joe Flacco doesn't blow that opportunity before the half and we're able to tack on 3 points, we're only down 2 right now. Field goal wins us this game. A touchdown makes the Cincinnati Bengals have to score a touchdown to beat us. And even if they score a touchdown, we still have an opportunity to kick a field goal and still win the game. So that field goal that you didn't get to attempt before the half, now looming large in this game. You're still down 5 though, 15-10. Ravens finally are able to take the lead in the game. 3rd and long, about 3rd and 18. Flacco scrambles out to his left, sees a streaking Steve Smith Sr. down the field, wide open, lets it fly. You know, Flacco has one of the strongest arms in the league. And not only is Steve Smith able to catch it, but he's able to make a defender miss, get into the end zone, 80-yard touchdown bomb. Was it his best day? Was it the inaugural opening day as a Raven that Steve Smith Sr. was looking for? But he still managed to have 7 catches for 118 yards, including that 80-yard bomb to give the Ravens the lead for the first time in this game. They go for 2. They are unsuccessful. It is 16-15 Ravens lead in this game, just like that. Trailing the entire game, Cincinnati having the lead. They're sick to their stomach, but this is what champions do. They respond on the very next possession with a bomb of their own. 77-yard hookup from the Red Rifle Andy Dalton to young, fresh, and green A.J. Green as he bobbles it. Bop, bop, loo, bop, bop, bam, boom! Touchdown. He's in the end zone, and it's now 21-16. Cincinnati goes for 2. And Mohamed Sanu is able to get his feet in, right by the pylon, gets it done. It's 23-16. Ravens now need a touchdown again. If that field goal was attempted and made, you're talking about a 4-point game where a touchdown wins you the game instead of ties the game. And Flacco gets the football back. And you know how I feel about Flacco in the later stages of the game. He had an opportunity, takes his team down the field, but wasn't able to get them in the end zone, was sacked on 4th down. And that wrapped it up as the Cincinnati Bengals march into M&T Bank Stadium for the first time since 2009 and get a win. They're 1-0 on the season. Ravens dropped to 0-1, and this was a tough loss to swallow. All the mistakes that the Ravens made in this game, and yet they still had a chance to win. You just got to ask yourself, if we make 1 less mistake, if we make 2 less mistakes, do we win this football game? That's something that the Ravens will have to sleep with tonight, as they are now 0-1, and more importantly, 0-1 in the division at home against a team that they're looking to leapfrog in this division. So that's going to do it for this installment of In the Lab Room. I thank you for joining me. If it happens in the National Football League, whether big or small, we cover it all here in the Lab Room. Come back and join me as I have a plethora of games to break down for Week 1 in the National Football League. Have a good one. See you in a bit.